Imagine dropping 20 grand on a motorcycle only to find out you bought a lemon with fancy graphics. These are the motorcycles that tricked us, scammed us, and made us wonder, what were they thinking? Today we are revealing 2025's 10 biggest motorcycle flops, the bikes that turn garages into graveyards and dreams into regrets. We're talking overpriced tech that dies faster than mullet in the 90s, resale values that nosedive faster than a Ducati at a track day, and designs that left even the most loyal fans scratching their heads. These are the motorcycles you should never, ever buy. Number 10. Harley Davidson Pan America 1250. When Harley rolled out the Pan America in 2021, it looked like they were finally stepping out of the cruiser bubble and swinging at the big dogs of adventure riding, the BMW GS, KTM Adventure, and Honda Africa Twin. And for a moment, it actually worked. Harley came out swinging with 150 horsepower, semi-active suspension, and that slick auto-lowering system that gave shorter riders a real shot at flat footing an adv bike. It was different, it was bold. And according to Mike's 2021 Adventure Touring Report, the Pan American briefly outsold BMW's GS models in North America. But fast forward to 2025, and Pan America's value is crashing harder than Bitcoin in a bear market. A quick scan of listings on CycleTrader shows 2021 Pan Americas, with under 10,000 miles, selling for as low as $12,500, sometimes even less. That's less than half of what folks shelled out just a couple years ago. And it's not just the resale value dropping. In a 2024 thread on ADV Rider, several owners complained about adaptive ride height failing at around 10,000 miles, with repairs sometimes exceeding $2,000. Weighing in at over 570 pounds weight, it's comparable to or heavier than competitors like the BMW R 1250 GS or the KTM 1290 Super Adventure. It's a heavy beast. Sure, it eats highway miles just fine, but take it off-road, drop it once, and you'll be praying someone's around to help you lift it. It's too techy for old-school Harley guys, too bulky and honestly, too weird-looking for hardcore adv riders. And the dealerships? Most still think off-road means a gravel parking lot out back. Meanwhile, KTM, BMW, and Honda are cranking out lighter, cheaper, and more reliable bikes every single year, and Harley just can't keep up. Insurance is steep, parts are pricey, and the resale market? Practically begging folks to take one off their hands. Bottom line, the Pan American was a high-tech gamble, and it aged like milk. Harley tried to reinvent itself, but ended up building a bike that nobody's truly loyal to. Verdict? A $30,000 lesson in why sometimes staying in your lane isn't playing it safe, it's knowing who you are. Harley swung for the fences and missed the map entirely. And you might probably think Harley's misstep is just a one-off gamble gone wrong because of that heavy tech and the resale crash. But I'm gonna tell you, don't get too comfortable just yet, because the next bike on our list is a so-called luxury roadster that looks slick, sounds smooth, but has its own set of problems that'll leave you stranded and frustrated in the worst way. Number 9, BMW R 1250R. The BMW R 1250R. On paper, it's the luxury roadster of your dreams. That boxer engine with shift cam tech, a buttery smooth shaft drive, premium electronics, German fit and finish, all the right words to make a rider drool. But fast forward to 2025, and that dream, it's starting to feel more like a recurring nightmare. Let's start with the headline problem, the dreaded hot start failure. Take it out for a ride, stop for fuel, and suddenly, nothing. No crank, no click, just silence. It's not the battery, it's not the key. It just sits there like a $20,000 paperweight. Check the forums and you'll see. This isn't some one-off fluke. These complaints are everywhere. And BMW's response? Mostly shrugs, vague firmware updates, and a whole lot of, we're looking into it. No recalls, no solid fix, just a premium brand leaving its riders stranded at gas stations and coffee shops with a lot in one hand and a dead bike in the other. And it gets worse. Out of warranty? Welcome to the 4-digit club. Shift cam issues, electronic gremlins, throttle bodies throwing tantrums. Take your pick. This isn't routine maintenance. This is a luxury-priced roulette. And when it's finally time to sell, good luck. That 19,000 MSRP from 2023, you'll be lucky to see $8,000 on the resale market. Meanwhile, Yamaha's MT series, Triumph's Speed Triple, and Ducati's Monster are eating its lunch lighter, faster and way more dependable. Even BMW seems like it's quietly phasing the R1250R out. Dealerships are stocking fewer units. Parts are taking longer to ship, and all the attention is shifting to their GS models and next-gen tech. What was once a confident, classy roadster now feels like a tech-heavy diva one that might leave you stranded if it doesn't like the temperature. Verdict: the R1250R is a naked bike that exposes way too much, especially when it gets hot. BMW promised luxury and delivered unreliability with a smug grin. But maybe the problem isn't just the comfort, maybe it's ego. Because up next, a bike that looks like speed, sounds like speed, and nearly breaks itself trying to be MotoGP. Carbon fiber, 216 horses, winglets, and a rear brake hose straight out of a horror story. Number 8. Ducati Panigale V4. The Ducati Panigale V4 was supposed to be the crown jewel of Italian superbikes, a MotoGP-inspired masterpiece for the street. But here in 2025, it's less Ferrari on two wheels and more like a caution sign wrapped in carbon fiber. Let's start with the big one, a critical rear brake recall. Ducati had to yank back nearly 600 units after realizing the rear brake hose was routed way too close to the exhaust without proper heat shielding. The result? Potential brake failure. And yeah, Ducati issued a fix, but by then, the damage was done. Rider lost confidence. Dealerships got swamped. Some owners waited weeks just to get their supposedly premium bikes back on the road. Rear brake failure. On a $36,000 superbike, that's not a bug, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Then there's the design drama. Ducati ditched its iconic single-sided swing arm, a visual signature for decades, and replaced it with a MotoGP-style double-sided setup. Technically, it shaved weight, it helped handling, but for die-hard Ducatisti, it was like watching Ferrari go front-wheel drive. Memes exploded, forums lit up, and longtime fans were furious. Ducati might have gained a lap time, but it lost soul. And it's not just bad PR, it's bad value. The V4 and V4S carried eye-watering price tags, especially in markets like India, where they topped 36 lakh rupees. But after the recall, resale took a nosedive, depreciation hit hard, and buyers, they got skittish. Now, let's be fair, the performance is still bananas. That 1,103 cubic centimeter V4 pumps out 216 horses, comes loaded with top-tier electronics, aerodynamic winglets, and enough racing DNA to scare a Yamaha R1. But unless your home address is Mugello, it's completely overkill. It's stiff, it's aggressive, and in city traffic, it'll cook your thighs and crush your wrists. And maintenance, you better have MotoGP money and a therapist on speed dial. The Panigale V4 is a high-strung, high-maintenance diva. It'll tear up a track and tear through your bank account. And with recalls, resale drops, and fan backlash, Ducati aimed for MotoGP glory and ended up delivering an identity crisis on wheels. But if the Panigale's downfall was chasing the future too hard, the next bike is stuck in reverse, clinging to a legend that just doesn't hit the same anymore. It once ruled the streets. Now, it's just trying to stay relevant in a world that's moved on. Yep, that's the subscribe button glowing on your screen. Tap it now and saddle up, because you're rolling with us the moment the next one hits the road. Number 7, the Suzuki Hayabusa. Once the undisputed king of speed, the Suzuki Hayabusa was the bike. A flex, a statement, a dinner table mic drop. Now, it's the guy who peaked in high school and still shows up to parties in his Letterman jacket. Back in '99, the Gen 1 Hayabusa redefined what fast meant. 194 miles per hour of pure, wind-cheating defiance. Then came Gen 2, with a bigger 1,340cc engine, beefier brakes, and just enough emissions compliance to keep it breathing. It was Suzuki's middle finger to aerodynamics. And for a while, it worked. But here we are in 2025, and this legend is limping. Let's start with the obvious, depreciation. That $11,000 rocket you bought in '99? Today, it's worth maybe $6,000, if it's mint. A quick search on Cycle Trader shows 2008 models listing between $5,000 and $7,000, depending on mileage and condition. A far cry from its former glory. Gen 2 models hold a bit more value, but even they're getting undercut by lighter, smarter, and sharper competition. Bikes like the BMW S1000RR and Kawasaki ZX14R now offer more speed, better electronics, modern handling, at similar prices, making the Hayabusa feel dated. What used to be iconic is now just cheap fast, and not in a good way. Then there's the regulation kill switch. The Hayabusa isn't Euro 5 or 6 compliant, which means in half the world, it's either banned or riding the edge of legality. Good luck passing emissions. Good luck passing a cop without a side eye. And the riding experience? Gen 1 and 2 Busas were straight-line monsters, but throw one into corners today? It feels like dragging a steel beam through a slalom course. No cornering ABS, no modern IMU, no traction control worth a damn. Just raw, untamed power, strapped to a prehistoric frame. It's thrilling, right until it's terrifying. Maintenance. Gen 1 parts are vanishing. Fuel injectors, ECUs, fairings. You'll be scouring eBay and praying to the gods of OEM. And since insurance companies now classify the Hayabusa as a high-risk collectible, get ready to pay through the nose just to keep it street legal. So why does it still have a fan base? Nostalgia. That's it. For a certain crowd, the Busa isn't a bike, it's a shrine. But for most riders in 2025, it's a museum piece that eats money and rides like a refrigerator. If you're a collector with deep pockets and garage space, sure, go Busa hunting. But if you actually want to ride your motorcycle in 2025, you're better off buying something made this century. The Hayabusa may have been a rocket, but rockets weren't built for retirement. And as Suzuki's once mighty legend fades into the rear view, the next bike proves that sometimes pretty paint and chrome trim are just distractions. Because under that showroom shine lies one of Harley's most expensive mistakes, a bike that looked like a cruiser, but rode like a financial time bomb. And once it starts ticking, there's no easy fix. Number 6. Harley Softail Deluxe Twin Cam Era. It looks like $1 million. Gleaming fenders, white wall tires, and that low-slung silhouette that practically begs for a roadside photo op. But beneath that retro dream, the Twin Cam Era Softail Deluxe is a mechanical landmine wrapped in nostalgia. Let's start with the real villain: cam, chain, tensioners. Harley thought it was a good idea to use plastic shoes to control the cam chain. Yes, plastic. Over time, they wear out and shred like cheese graters, spewing metal shavings through your engine like confetti at a Viking funeral. Failure can happen before 20,000 miles. The fix? Either tear down the engine or shell out $1,000 for a gear drive conversion. Either way, you're bleeding cash, and that's just the beginning. Oil leaks? Oh yeah. Base gaskets, rocker boxes. Pick a spot, and it'll leak eventually. Combine that with an air-cooled setup that runs hotter than asphalt in July, and you've got a breakdown in slow motion. Transmission troubles? Prepare for clunky shifts, false neutrals, and the occasional "did something just snap?" moment between gears. Some call it character. Most call it a $1,500 repair bill. Electrical gremlins? They live here, rent-free. Stator failures are common, leaving owners stranded with dead batteries and a burning hatred for Harley wiring harnesses. Try explaining to your buddies, again, why your Softail won't start, and then comes the resale value punch to the gut. That $20,000 Deluxe you bought in 2009? Worth maybe $6,000 in 2025 if it's mint and running. The market knows these bikes are money pits with floorboards. By now, Harley's quietly pushed the twin cam out to pasture, replacing it with the fairer, more reliable Milwaukee 8. Parts for twin cams? Drying up, dealer support, fading, owner patience, on life support. The Twin Cam Era Softail Deluxe is a heartbreaker. It promised timeless style and old school cool. But what you actually get is heat, leaks, electrical issues, and one heck of a repair bill. It taught riders a brutal truth: you can't chrome over catastrophic flaws. And if the Softail Deluxe was an aging diva clinging to its glory days, the next bike is a hot-headed teenager that burns out before it ever grows up. All sharp styling, ready to race, swagger, and marketing hype. But under the surface, it's one of the most overhyped, underbuilt disappointments of the decade. A bike that came in swinging as a budget hero, but by 2025, it's more like a beginner's regret. Number 5. KTM 390 Duke/RC 390. The KTM 390 Duke and RC 390 were supposed to be the perfect gateway drug to performance motorcycling. Aggressive styling, lightweight chassis, sharp handling, and enough tech to impress your buddies at bike night. On paper, a knockout. In reality, they're maintenance grenades with turn signals. Let's start with the heart, that 373 cubic centimeter single-cylinder thumper. Sure, it's spicy, but it runs hotter than a sidewalk in July. And when you're stuck in traffic, you might as well duct tape toaster to your thigh. Overheating issues still haunt the 2025 models, along with jerky throttle response and random stalling that keeps riders sweating long after the engine cools down. And then there's the electronics. Oh boy, ride-by-wire throttle? Awesome when it responds on time. Quick shifter? Great, until it ghost shifts into neutral mid-corner. Throw in buggy side stand sensors, safety systems that throw tantrums for no reason, and you've got a bike that feels more like a moody teenager than a precision machine. Some riders say it won't even start unless you whisper sweet nothings to the ignition and kick it in the right mood. That's not premium, that's paranormal. Comfort? Forget it. The suspension, stiffer than your tax accountant, and the seat feels like someone bolted a brick to the subframe. Ride for an hour, and your tailbone files an HR complaint. Build quality? Let's just say it's orange. The plastics feel brittle. The switchgear is clunky. And while the newer models look sharp, the fit and finish still scream budget cosplay of a real sport bike. And depreciation? Oh yeah, from $6,000 new to $3,000 used. If you're lucky, it's not just mileage, it's reputation. Most riders get fed up and switch to Japanese rivals with smoother engines, better reliability, and dealerships that don't ghost you after 5,000 miles. Bottom line, Duke 390 and RC 390 are like high school flings, fun, wild, and full of red flags. By 2025, they've earned their spot as one of the most overhyped and underbuilt disappointments in the lightweight segment. You're not buying performance, you're buying headaches, wrapped in orange plastic. Because if the KTM 390 taught us anything, it's this: lightweight doesn't mean low maintenance. And while that bike left beginners blistered and broke, the next one aimed a lot higher, marketed as the ultimate superbike flex, luxury, tech, German precision, the whole 9 yards. But by 2025, it's nothing more than a garage queen with a bloated price tag and a long list of problems. Because when the tech moves fast and expectations run high, even legends get left behind. Number 4, BMW S1000RR. When the BMW S1000RR launched back in 2009, it didn't just shake things up, it declared war. This was a German-built rocket aimed squarely at the Japanese superbike kings. Nearly 200 horsepower, advanced electronics, and race-bred DNA straight out of the gate. It made your palms sweat just looking at it. But fast forward to 2025, it's more of a garage queen than a road king. Let's start with what it promised: a 999 cubic centimeter inline 4 that screamed power, race abs, traction control, quick shifter. Back then, this tech was borderline wizardry. Ride one in 2012, you felt like you were cheating. By 2019, BMW dropped the shift cam version, variable valve timing, 207 horsepower, wild. But that was then. Today's S1000RR, it's a whole different beast. Winglets, cornering abs, slide control, a full-color TFT with Bluetooth. Features that make the older models feel like yesterday's news. Even horsepower got a bump. 208 ponies with dynamic suspension that reads the road better than you do. And here's the kicker: depreciation. That shiny 2019 model you paid $21,000 for, now it's struggling to crack $13,000. The older non-shift cam versions, good luck getting 5 figures. Why? Because BMW keeps flooding the market with special editions, HP4, M1000RR, you name it. Every new release chips away at the value of the standard versions. And we haven't even talked cost of ownership. Routine maintenance, $600 to $800 a year. Easy. Insurance, easily 40% higher than a Japanese rival. And finding a service tech who won't treat your aging Beamer like a ticking time bomb, that's a whole quest of its own. Outdated tech. High running cost, brutal depreciation, and fierce competition from bikes like the Panigale V4, Yamaha R1, and ZX-10R that now offer more performance and better value. Bottom line, the PRE 2025 S1000RR still looks like a killer superbike, but under the fairings, it's struggling to keep up. Unless you're a collector or a track day fantastic with deep pockets, you're better off leaving this one behind, because while the S1000RR quietly faded into retirement, the next bike, it didn't go quietly. Big torque, big attitude, and the biggest headache in your garage. Number 3, Triumph Rocket 3 at one time. The Triumph Rocket 3 was the power cruiser to end all power cruisers. It hit the scene in 2004 with the largest production engine ever stuffed into a motorcycle. 2,294 cubic centimeters of inline triple madness, cranking out 221 Newton meters of torque. It wasn't just a bike, it was a rolling muscle car with handlebars. If you wanted to tow your ego and a trailer behind you at the same time, the Rocket had your back. But in 2025, it's an outdated heavyweight that's collapsing in value. Pre-2024 Rocket 3s are now flooding the used market for 50% less than their original price tags. And here's why. Triumph dropped the new Rocket 3 Storm GT and R models last year. More power, sharper electronics, refined ride modes. They didn't just update the Rocket, they made the older versions obsolete overnight. But the real trouble isn't just the spec sheet, it's how the old Rocket actually rides. At over 700 pounds wet, it's a handful. Low-speed turns feel like a workout. The shaft drive, jerky. And that famously massive footprint, it's not helping in parking lots or tight city corners. This thing was built for highway pulls, not daily life. Fuel economy, about 35 miles per gallon, when you're being nice. Insurance, high. Rear tire, that chunky 240 section is expensive and surprisingly rare. Parts, prepare. 2. Wait. Dealers aren't stocking spares like they used to, especially as Triumph shifts focus to the newer Storm models. And the tech, practically prehistoric. No cornering ABS, no ride-by-wire trickery, no Bluetooth nav, no proper ride modes. Compared to bikes like the Ducati Diavol V4 or even Harley's latest sport cruiser, the old Rocket feels like trying to stream Netflix on a pager. So unless you're buying it purely as a collectible or a conversational starter at bike night where you can proudly say, "Mine's got the biggest engine," there's no real reason to own a pre-2024 Rocket 3 in 2025. It's outdated, expensive to maintain, and completely outclassed by everything around it. The Rocket 3 might be outdated, overweight, and awkward in a parking lot, but at least it had a reason to exist. Back in its day, it was a muscle cruiser icon, loud, proud, and packing the biggest production engine the world had ever seen. It knew what it was, and it never apologized for it. But coming up next, this thing has no such excuse. It tried to rewrite the rules of motorcycling without understanding the assignment. 3 wheels, $2,000 worth of tech glitches, and one big question, why? Number 2, Can-Am Spyder, once hailed as the future of open road touring. The Can-Am Spyder has officially spun out into worst buy territory in 2025. When BRP launched it in 2007, it was marketed as a revolution. Part motorcycle, part snowmobile, all stability. A 3-wheeled, user-friendly platform aimed at new riders, older riders, or just folks intimidated by 2 wheels. And for a while, it worked. The Spyder racked up over 100,000 units sold in its first decade. You'd see them at rallies, on retirement rides, everywhere from campgrounds to cruise towns. But that early promise, it hasn't aged well. Pre-2025 Spyders are tanking in value. A 2013 RT model that sold for $15,000 now struggles to clear $9,000. And the new RT Sea to Sky starts at over $33,000, with only mild upgrades like adaptive suspension, a larger touchscreen, and Bluetooth connectivity. Same old styling, same Rotax 115 horsepower engine. And in a world of 200 horsepower electrics, that doesn't exactly raise eyebrows anymore. Then there's the ownership headache. Annual maintenance, $800 to $1,200 minimum. Proprietary parts, premium Brembo brakes, and service locked behind BRP certified techs. It's a wallet trap. That 240 section rear tire is expensive and rare. And don't expect a smooth ride. The shaft drive feels clunky, and the whole drivetrain lacks the refinement you'd expect at this price point. As for reliability, riders report annoying issues like paddle shifters glitching in the rain, battery drain problems, coolant leaks, and odd ECU errors. And with nearly 900 pounds of machine under you, the Spyder gulps gas like an SUV. heavy and corners more like a quad than a motorcycle. Meanwhile, the competition has pulled far ahead. Polaris Slingshot gives you sportier handling and flashier tech for less money. Electric bikes like the Zero SRS and Livewire offer more torque, lower maintenance, and a cleaner future. Even BRP seems more interested in the cheaper Riker and their upcoming EVs than saving the aging Spyder lineup. Bottom line, unless you need 3 wheels for physical reasons, the Spyder just doesn't add up anymore. High cost, outdated tech, brutal resale. It's more burden than benefit. It was a motorcycle for people who didn't really want a motorcycle, but at least it knew what it was. It stayed in its lane, literally. Safe, steady, predictable. A boring choice, sure, but not a cruel one. The next bike, it doesn't offer that mercy. This one lures you in with exotic curves and promises of performance, only to punish you for every second you believe the dream. Number 1, MV Agusta F3 800. All right, this one hurts, because if there was ever a bike that looked like a dream and rode like a punishment, it's the MV Agusta F3 800. Launched in 2013, this thing had everything going for it on paper. A 798 cubic centimeter inline triple, screaming to 13,000 PM, 140 horsepower, a MotoGP-style counter-rotating crankshaft, lightweight chassis, aggressive geometry, and the kind of Italian styling that could make a Ducati jealous. It didn't just look fast, it looked like it wanted to fight you. And when you hit the starter, that high-pitched MV howl, absolute goosebumps. It sounded like a Ferrari and a Banshee had a baby. No bike in the class screamed like the F3. But here's the problem. All that beauty comes with baggage. On the road, this thing is brutal. The stock suspension is rock hard, the throttle is twitchy, and early models didn't even come with an auto blipper. You'd lurch through traffic like a rookie, and engine braking would throw you forward like you missed a gear. Trying to daily this thing is like commuting in a Formula 1 car, and not in a fun way. Sure, MV tried to save it. F3RR, F3RC, competition-y versions, better electronics, up to 160 horsepower, a Krapovich titanium pipes, and a fancy 6-axis IMU. But by 2025, it's too little, too late. Euro 5 plus emissions hit hard. MV's dealership network, still paper-thin, and the competition, it's not playing anymore. The Aprilia RS 660, Yamaha R7, even electric bikes like the Energica Ego, they're faster in real life, more reliable, more affordable, and way easier to live with. And don't even get me started on maintenance. Parts, rare, expensive, repairs, specialized, slow, resale, brutal. These things cost nearly $27,000 new. Now, you're lucky if someone offers you 12. It's like buying a supermodel. That demands champagne and spa days just to leave the garage. So what do you actually get? A stunning piece of art that breaks your back, drain your wallet, and sits in your garage waiting for parts. The F3 800 is the definition of exotic, forgot how to function. Gorgeous? Yes. Iconic? Maybe. Practical? Not even close. If you want to ride, look elsewhere. If you want to suffer in style, well, here's your throne. These were some of the most overhyped bikes around. And if you think that was something, make sure to watch the next video, hit subscribe, drop a like, and let's jump into it.